Maybe seen it. We are back on the record in file 24-21841-FC, People versus Dale Warner. We are ready to resume our trial this morning. There is, as I understand it, one evidentiary issue that we need to address before we begin with respect to some photographs. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. McCready, if you want to address that now, you can go.
Thank you.
So the people are seeking to admit photographs 254 through 258. They're of Detective Dreyer in a Canon safe. He will testify that this safe that he went to the store and took pictures of himself in is the same brand and similar size as the safe that is depicted in several photographs that have already been admitted from the spray barn that was in the spray barn in the time frame of the crime here, late April 2021. He'll testify that he personally saw that safe and that the one that he took pictures of is approximately the same size. There is an issue that the bare picture itself does not, it's hard to tell what a human body would look like inside. What, how tight would it be, that kind of thing. And Detective Dreyer is obviously considerably taller than Dee Warner was, and the photos show without any question really that Dee Warner's body would have fit in the safe that was in the spray barn. In the defense opening, they have put at issue whether the defendant could have concealed her body with all the people on the farm and all the people moving around on Sunday, the 25th. And also all the chores that he was accomplishing that day. The implication is, how could he have hid her body while he was doing all these things and all these people are moving around the farm? And the obvious answer from the people's side is he put her in that safe, which is in the spray barn, which is where again, our theory of the case is that he put her in the JCB at around 7, and that he welded her and he took her to the spray barn at that point in time, and that he welded her in the tank later that afternoon. And so our answer for the time in between is that she's locked in the safe. We also have a clip that's already been, or a part of an interview that's already been introduced where he, well, they were going to introduce, I'm sorry, today, it's going to be stipulated to, where he's asked in October about opening the safes on the property, and he acknowledges that he will open them. So for that reason, we think it's relevant. We've also indicated to the court the People v. Castillo case, which is at 230 Mich. App 442. It's a 1998 case. In that case, there was a demonstration padlock that the people introduced as a demonstrative exhibit. It was similar to the weapon that was supposedly used. There's a witness in that case who said they saw a silver or gray shiny object in the defendant's hand. The people's demonstrative exhibit was a different color, but otherwise similar. Other witnesses in that case heard a popping sound during the assault, and the victim had indicated that he saw the defendant carrying a padlock. And the court admitted that demonstrative exhibit as illustrative of the people's theory of the case, that the defendant had used a padlock in the assault. We've also cited a number of, or at least indicated to the court that we would be citing a number of unpublished cases. Granted, those are persuasive authority, not binding on the court. But in People v. Lewis in 2020, the prosecutor created a full-size replica of a grow room to show the various the layout of the grow room and how the various people were positioned and how, certain things could have happened according to the people's theory, given the layout of the room. In Bogseth in 2018, there was a distinctive hammer that was allegedly used that was not in evidence, but the people were able to use one as a demonstrative exhibit, a similar one. Ballinger, 2008, an AK-47. Brown, 2003, a rifle. Gant in 2000, a cane sword. Again, these are weapons that were similar to the ones that witnesses said were used in various assaults. The last one I'd like to highlight is in 2017 at Batchelor. There was a murder case where there was an issue about whether the defendant had been let into the victim's home or had broken in. And so the people used as a demonstrative exhibit a video of the officer in charge using a credit card to open the victim's locked door. And in that case, when the defendant was arrested, he had credit cards on him, and there was testimony that the lock wasn't the greatest lock in the world. And so the court said that was a fine demonstrative exhibit where the people were attempting to show how easy it would have been to use a credit card to open the victim's locked door and ultimately get in to kill her. So I think all these cases show that where it's relevant to the people's theory of the case and showing, okay, here's a picture in this case of how we are alleging this could have happened. It's admissible. There's nothing unfairly prejudicial about pictures of Detective Dreer in a safe. And so for that reason, we would ask to be allowed to use those photos as demonstrative exhibits.
Thank you, Your Honor. We object to the photographs as being irrelevant and even if relevant, unfairly prejudicial because they're based on an assumption. So in Castillo, the issue was the padlock, but there were people who testified as to seeing a silver gray shiny object in the defendant's hand. And while the person, when they were shown the demonstrative padlock, said it was similar but of a different color. So there was testimony about someone actually seeing that padlock. Likewise, in Ballinger, there was essentially a stipulation that the victims died as a result of multiple gunshot wounds. So then the gun became relevant, the demonstrative gun. Here, there's literally no evidence that Ms. Warner was ever in the safe. There's no bodily fluids, blood, DNA, hair found, fingerprints of hers, nothing. There's nothing from Dr. Cho indicating that, yes, her body had been once placed in a particular position. It is entirely an assumption that she was placed in the safe. Nobody saw Mr. Warner use the safe, try to hide the safe, nothing about that. There's literally nothing to support this theory. And so to show a photograph of Detective Drewer in there is unfairly prejudicial and irrelevant. If they want to talk about the measurements of the safe, that's certainly relevant. But to go as far as to putting a person inside of a demonstrative item, because all of these issues are someone, a padlock, a gun, someone trying to get into a door, right? All of those are the demonstrative items. Here we actually have a person in what they claim to be. I mean, it's takes it a step farther where you have this reenactment with an actual officer in there when there's no evidence to support it. So we would ask the photographs be excluded. Thank you.
Okay, demonstrative evidence is admissible when it may aid the fact finder in reaching a conclusion on a matter that's material to the case. It must satisfy traditional requirements for relevance and probative value, and evidence is relevant if it has any tendency to make the existence of any fact that is of consequence to the determination of the action more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. In this case, I do think that the proposed demonstrative evidence is relevant. A question has been raised by the defense as to how Mr. Warner could have concealed Ms. Warner's body during the initial day after she had gone missing that Sunday, while there were numerous people walking around the farm looking for her, that kind of thing. There is evidence in the record that there was a safe in the spray barn, which is an area of particular concern. And the demonstrative evidence of a photograph of Detective Druyer in a similarly sized, same brand safe would be relevant to the people refuting the defense argument that has been made that he could not have concealed the body for that length of time. So I think it is relevant. I don't think that it is prejudicial in any way. The photographs are offered simply to illustrate the fact that a body the size of Ms. Warner or larger in the case of Detective Druyer would fit inside a safe of that size. When evidence is offered as an aid to illustrate testimony regarding issues related to the event rather than offered in an effort to recreate the event, the demonstration does not need to be an exact replication of the circumstances of the event. And I think that comes from People versus Bulmer, 256, Michigan 33. And I think that's the situation that we have here. The people want to use this exhibit simply to establish that it would be possible to conceal a body inside the safe that was in the spray barn. And I think that the photographs are appropriate for that purpose. There does appear to be substantial evidence that would attest to the similarity of the exhibit and the item actually used, presuming that Detective Druyer testifies in the way that Mr. McCready indicated that he would testify, in that the safe was the same brand and similarly sized to the one that was observed in the spray barn. I don't think there's any reasonable likelihood that the jury could fail to understand the demonstrative nature of the evidence. I've seen the photograph. It's just a photograph of Detective Druyer inside the safe. And so I don't think there's any, you can clearly see that it's a store in the background. So I don't think there's any risk that the jury would consider it as anything other than a demonstrative exhibit. And the opposing party, Mr. Warner's attorneys in this case, will have an ample opportunity to cross-examine Detective Druyer regarding this demonstrative evidence. And I think that's the appropriate forum for the defense to point out all of the things that they have pointed out in your argument that this was prejudicial. And so I think cross-examination is the appropriate forum for that argument. So having said that, I do think that the photographs are admissible for the reasons that I've just laid out. Is there anything else we need to address on the record this morning before the jury is brought back?
We have stipulated to exhibit 305, which is a body worn camera from October 11th, 2021.
That's correct.
We're ready for the jury. Maybe see them. Right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. People may call their next witness.
The people would recall Detective Lieutenant Daniel Druyer.
Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty for perjury.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sit down.
You've already stated your name and spelled it for the record, so I'm not gonna have you do that again. We kind of talked a little bit briefly last week about some of the things you did. Some of this may overlap. I'll try not to do that too much. Um, you discussed taking the investigation over in August of 2022. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And prior to that, you were part of a task force.
Yes.
When you became involved in this case, did you know Dee Warner?
No.
Did you know Dale Warner?
No.
Did you know anybody involved with the case as far as citizens went?
No.
In approximately April or May of 2022, did you assist the sheriff's department in doing a search warrant for Munger Road property?
Yes, we returned to the farm for a search warrant at that approximate time.
Do you recall what that search warrant was for?
Yes, that search warrant was primarily focusing on the seizure and collection of electronic devices, phones, tablets, and computers.
Did you seize any items that day?
Yes, we seized uh, approximately 100 computers, phones, and tablets from the residents.
At this point, had you ever recovered the phone that Dee Warner possessed on April 24th, 25th, 2021?
No.
What specific electronic items that you seized that day became important during this investigation?
The primary intention of serving that search warrant was to collect Dale Warner's iPad and iPhone. In addition, we had learned that Dale Warner had purchased a new iPhone after Dee's disappearance and put her phone number on it for purposes of the business. And that particular item was of particular interest to me also.
When you say put her phone number on it, what does that mean? How do you do that?
Essentially, he purchased a new iPhone that had never been used before by them, imported her information from the iCloud, and put her phone number on it from Verizon.
You indicated Dale's iPad was of particular interest. Was that one of the items that you did seize?
That's correct.
And you indicated Dale's phone. How many phones did you seize of Dale Warner's?
I can think of at least two phones that we seized, his current phone at that time, and at least one that he had used prior. There may be additional prior ones, but I can't recall.
Okay. Did you recover the item with Dee's iCloud on it, the electronic device with Dee's iCloud on it?
Not initially, no, ma'am.
Okay. What do you mean not initially?
I was, for lack of a better term, it's a little bit uncomfortable when you're assisting another police agency because they're in charge still, but you're making recommendation as to what should happen. So in this instance, the sheriff's department's in charge, but I'm kind of there assisting. And I made contact with Mr. Warner near the dining room table, and we have a series of devices that we're collecting and seizing from the house. And I specifically asked him about this cell phone. I want the cell phone that has Dee's phone number on it. To which he gestures towards the table and indicates that we already have it. So the uncomfortable part is I'm not in charge and really in the position to challenge him on this to confirm. So I took him at his word at that time. But we later discovered that that was not the case.
How did you discover that?
I received a phone call. I can't remember if it was that same day or the next day. And it was Dale Warner calling to inquire about him being returned his iPad and iPhone that we had previously seized. But he was calling me from Dee's phone number.
Okay. And how long after you seized his electronic items did he call you?
I can't recall if it's the same day or the next day, but it was shortly thereafter.
Okay. And you indicated the number that came up was the number for Dee Warner?
That's correct.
All right. And what'd you do?
From there, I contacted my partner, Detective Sergeant Singleton. We returned to the Munger residence and made contact with Dale, inquiring as to that phone again.
And did you get the phone at that time?
Eventually, yes.
What do you mean eventually?
Upon making contact with Dale Warner and informing again that we needed to collect that device, he did not immediately cooperate and initially refused to do so.
Okay. But you said eventually, so you eventually left with that phone with her iCloud information on it.
That's correct.
What did you do with those electronic items once you recovered them?
Those devices were sent to what's called our CCU or Computer Crimes Unit.
What's the purpose of that?
A witness from that unit testified last week. Essentially, they specialize in extracting information off of electronic devices and putting it in a format that allows detectives like myself to review.
Okay, and so do they put that in a case and then do they always send it to you?
It varies on, depending on the investigator, but the majority of detectives in my department would obtain that information from the analysts that work there, and they themselves would review it. And there might be some back and forth with those analysts to ensure that they're understanding what's been given to them.
Okay. And when you send those to the lab, what do you get in return? What does the lab give you back?
They typically provide you with a thumb drive or a hard drive, depending on how large the device is, how much memory you need. And from that, you're provided a computer program that allows you to um, select different pieces of information that you want to view on the phone, text messages, calendar, emails, photographs, etc. So essentially, the computer program organizes things in this program similar to how you would find them on the actual phone.
Did you review any of those portable cases when you were conducting your investigation in this case?
Yes,
All right. Which ones?
I reviewed every portable case that were provided to me. There's, I couldn't tell you how many we had. There was a lot.
In October of 2022, did you execute a search warrant for OnStar?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
I knew from reviewing Dale Warner's cell phone from his portable case that the sheriff's department had completed that at approximately 7:08 a.m. on 425 that he had accessed the OnStar application. And I was inquiring to OnStar as to whether or not they could tell me what he did from his phone in relation to that car. That was of particular interest to me.
Okay. And so did you get those records back?
Yes, there was some back and forth with OnStar, but eventually we get those records after some time.
Did you have those records back when you interviewed the defendant on December 20th, 2022?
No, we received them from OnStar after that interview.
May 23rd, 2023, did you interview Rob Brisky as part of this investigation?
Yes.
And why did you do that?
Through the investigation, we had good reason to believe that Dee Warner was involved in an extramarital affair with Rob Brisky. So making contact with him and interviewing him about his relationship with her and where he was during the time of her disappearance was of particular interest to us.
Did the information you have about the affair, was that a current affair?
No, no, we had no reason to believe it was going on at the time of her disappearance, and we learned that it had ended months prior. The most recent could have been was months prior.
As a result of your conversation with Rob Brisky, what did you do?
I obtained a search warrant for Delta Airlines and confirmed that Mr. Brisky had purchased a ticket to Florida and was also, and I also obtained some credit card records to see that he had cons- regular and consistent charges in the state of Florida at the time of Dee Warner's disappearance. I also spoke to another individual that said that she was with him the whole time in Florida.
From the time you get involved in April or May of 2022, throughout the course of the investigation, what's your focus?
Um, Throughout my time in this investigation, it has been focused on finding Dee Warner. So that could be in a number of different ways. If she's alive and well somewhere, obviously we want to find her. If she's not alive, we still want to locate her. So essentially discovering what happened to her, what caused her disappearance, and where she physically was.
When you're looking for Dee Warner, describe the person you're looking for.
Dee Warner is approximately 5'3", weighs approximately 140 pounds, with blonde hair.
Throughout the course of your career, have you investigated suicides?
Yes.
Approximately how many?
In the multiples of tens, I wouldn't quite say 100, but numerous.
Okay. What about natural deaths?
Yes, probably a similar figure.
Homicides?
Um, a little bit less, but a similar figure. Yes, ma'am.
When you start doing these things to follow up, did you follow up on any of the defendant's statements regarding proof of life?
Yes.
Okay. What statements did you follow up on?
There were several things Dale Warner stated that we investigated. The one that we spent the most amount of time on was the statement that she had taken some money from the business and had disappeared on her own means and was living somewhere off of that money. We put a lot of time and resources into that portion of the investigation.
Did you contact anybody for assistance as part of that?
Yes.
And who did you contact?
I was put in touch with an agent with the Secret Service. His name is Ryan Heathouse. He specializes in locating missing persons through what we would refer to as a search for life, as well as working with local state analysts for similar type of searches.
Okay. And doing those searches, did you find anything to lead you to Mexico or Jamaica or anywhere else outside of Michigan?
No.
What else did you investigate?
As far as Mr. Warner's statements,
Correct.
another statement he had made was that Dee Warner had a prescription drug problem, and perhaps that had something to do with her disappearance.
What did you do to investigate that?
There were several things that I did to look into that matter specifically. One, I did search warrants and reviewed her Blue Cross Blue Shield usage, which is what her insurance coverage for her prescriptions, as well as her CVS records where she primarily filled those prescriptions. Separately, I reviewed records from something that is called MAPS. MAPS is a database that's used by healthcare providers and pharmacists to ensure that people aren't going to multiple doctors to get the same type of drug. It's something to help prevent people from abusing prescription drug programs. So you can't go to Doctor A, B, and C and get oxycodone or Vicodin from each of them.
Okay. And where did your investigation with the pills lead you?
I found nothing that would indicate any signs of abuse of any scheduled narcotics.
What other statements of Dale Warner's did you follow up on?
We put a lot of time and investigation into the things that he did on the morning of 4/25.
Okay. I'm going to go back just a little bit. Did you investigate the statements about a second phone?
Yes.
All right. What did you do to investigate a second phone?
Um, Dale Warner's statements that Dee may have had a secret phone was of particular interest to us because as her primary phone showed no communications with anyone that would lead us to believe that she summoned someone to come and get her on 4/25/21. So discovering if this other phone existed and if she could have possessed it was of particular interest to us. So through several search warrants, I did several things to try to obtain this information. There is something called a Google geofence. A geofence is essentially where, as a detective, I can draw an imaginary box over any location, and I can tell Google, I want you to tell me any device that you have connected inside of this box. In order for Google to have a record of that, you'd have to be operating a Google application on your phone or on your tablet, whatever that device is, and be consenting to that type of data transmission. That's in no means foolproof. For instance, if I were to put one over the courthouse right now, I probably would not get everyone's cell phone that's in this building currently. But through that search warrant, I was not able to discover any device that could be the alleged secret phone.
What other search warrants did you do to look for that second phone?
I also did a search warrant for something that is called FOG. FOG is more commonly known as advertiser ID. So all of us that have a cell phone, we essentially have been given an advertiser ID number. This is a very long number that basically keeps your identity a secret, but your phone is collecting information about where you go, the websites you go to, where you travel, and advertisers buy this information so you can be targeted with specific ads. So similar to a geofence, I can draw a box over a specific area to see if I can discover this unknown device. That is less reliable than Google, but that is something we employed here, and we also did not discover a phone through those means.
Did you do anything else to look for the second phone?
Yes, because I had access to Dee Warner's cloud information, her iCloud, I had a volume of her emails and other contacts, and I searched those extensively to see if there was any communication she had where she signed up for another device or had purchased another phone, and I was unable to find any communication that led me to believe that. Additionally, I also learned that through her extramarital affair, she used her primary phone number for that communication with that person.
Why was that important to your investigation?
In my experience, the assertion that somebody may have a secret phone could be indicative of someone having an extramarital affair. So for someone to have an extramarital affair, but be utilizing their everyday phone number that everyone else would have, would indicate that that secret phone is less likely to exist.
During any of the interviews with Dale, did he mention that Dee was sneaking out in the middle of the night?
No,
Okay. And if you're investigating a missing person, is that important information to know?
absolutely. That would be an important piece of what I would call someone's pattern of life.
Last week, we saw items that were seized by the FBI, and in the exhibits 179 through 183, exhibit 192 and 193, which were the pink planner, the loose sheets, and the black planner. Um, he indicated in there on March 21st, 2021, that Dee Warner had snuck out in the middle of the night, correct?
Yes,
All right. Same thing on March 23rd, 2021, correct?
yes,
And both of those had a time frame of 2 to after 2 o'clock in the morning, correct?
yes, ma'am.
And did you do anything to look into that claim?
Yes, as viewing that in Mr. Warner's notes, I did a comparison for the usage of the OnStar application and saw that he did not check her location at those times, which I found to be interesting.
I'm going to show you people's 224, which is the OnStar record, SRT 110, page 78. Is that the record that you're referring to that you looked at?
That's correct.
Again, in the notes from the FBI, the pages that were seized from Dale Warner in October of 21, the defendant has March 21st, 2021 in those notes after she snuck out, drug dealer question mark. Has defendant ever mentioned anything about a drug dealer to you?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay. To you or to during the course of the investigation or
Well, I guess I might maybe paraphrasing. He didn't use the term drug dealer. I think he used the term drug cartel.
okay. And when was that mentioned?
That was in the interview with me in December.
Okay. Explain what you mean.
When detailing what he believed happened to Dee, his wife Dee Warner, he stated that he believed that she escaped to Florida or somewhere near the border and had escaped on a secret $10 or $20 boat ride and was living in Mexico or Jamaica with the drug cartel.
Anything else about any local drug dealers in Michigan?
Not that I recall, no ma'am.
Okay. During any of Dale Warner's interviews, did he discuss Dee having nightmares or talking in her sleep?
No,
Did the defendant ever mention during the whole course of the investigation that Dee was scared to be by herself?
no,
Did he ever mention that she would run to the window or door anytime a car went by or pulled in?
no,
Did he ever mention that Dee always said someone was watching the office on the hill on Carson?
no,
Again, all of these things being in his loose leaf pages, his notebooks and journals, do you think that would be something important to relay to an investigator investigating his missing wife?
Objection, speculation.
I'll withdraw the question. Do you ever mention anything? Did the defendant ever mention anything to you about Dee being paranoid?
yes.
Okay, and what was that?
He made a statement during one of his interviews that when asked about tracking the Hummer using the device in the Hummer, that Dee was just paranoid.
Did he mention he was not in fact tracking her?
That's correct. That was a statement about that device.
The black book that the FBI last week testified to, that was the text thread between Zach and D, Exhibit 191. Do you recall that item?
Yes.
Did you look into that item? Did you read those?
Yes. I observed that in one of Dale Warner's devices. I can't remember if it was his iPad or his iPhone. I can't recall.
Okay. And when did you observe that item in the phone?
When did I observe it? Or
I apologize. Let me reword that. When did you observe that item in his Dale Warner's device? You didn't say phone. I said that. I'm sorry.
um, the date that I saw it, or the date that it was in the phone?
The date
Sorry.
that it was in the phone first.
It was in. It was placed on the device in December of 19.
Detective Singleton testified that at some point you both came up with a theory about welding. Can you describe that to me?
Yes, there was a video clip of Dale Warner in what we refer to as the old shop, or building number 1, in which he's looking for something near welding equipment. And as a car drives by, he moves to the side behind a truck and ducks down to see who it is.
Okay. So is there anything else that came to your mind when you're thinking of this welding theory?
Um, Specifically with the date and time that it happened, we were just suspicious of what he would be doing with welding equipment on that particular day, the day that his wife goes missing.
Okay. Did you, at this point, when you come up with the welding theory, do you remember when that was?
We first started assisting in March or April of 22, and we took over full time beginning of August of 22. It was sometime in between there, but I don't recall specifically.
Were you still assisting the sheriff's department at the time?
That's correct.
Did you notify, well, who was the officer in charge of the case at that time?
Kevin Greca.
Did you notify Kevin Greca that you believed that welding was involved?
No.
Why not?
Kind of going back to what I described as kind of the awkwardness when I'm at the dining table with Mr. Warner. It's not my investigation. I'm just making recommendations on what I've seen from their investigation. So I wasn't entirely sure it would be appropriate for me to air that type of opinion. And separately, we were very conscious of the fact that somehow information was being leaked from the sheriff's department. So I wasn't totally sure who I could trust there, to be honest with you.
When you say information is being leaked from the sheriff's department, do you know if it was from the sheriff's department or do you just know it was law enforcement?
I know it was law enforcement.
Okay. Did you ever ask the defendant about welding during your December 20th, 22 interview?
No.
Why not?
One, we still didn't have any reason to, it wasn't this aha moment as my partner described it. It was just something that was peculiar. And in every homicide investigation I've worked, there are certain facts that only the culprit would know about. And so you want to keep those pieces of information very close to your chest, because once you say it, then everybody could know it. So welding specifically, if it was involved, that wasn't something we were comfortable with confronting Mr. Warner with, based on the limited information we had at the time.
After you interview the defendant in December of 22, do you ultimately end up doing some large scale searches?
Yes, in May of 2023.
Okay. And again, approximately how many acres did you search?
I believe it was over 3,000 acres, but I don't have an exact number.
What land did you search? Whose land?
We primarily searched land that was owned by Dee or Dale Warner, and or land that they had contracted to do farming with at the time of her disappearance in 2021.
When you're doing these searches, how are you doing them procedurally?
We separated the areas into what I would call primary and secondary areas. So the primary areas were places that we had information to believe that Dee could have went there for some reason at that particular time, around that time, or that Dale Warner had gone to those areas at that particular time. The secondary areas were the remaining pieces of property that were on that list. And the intention here is, um, through my time of investigating natural deaths and even suicides, when people are going to commit suicide, they typically go to some place that's comfortable for them. So in our mind, we wanted to make sure that we went to all of these properties to ensure that she didn't uh, she didn't come to stop living on one of these pieces of property and was just laying there still undiscovered.
When you're doing these searches for the approximately 3,000 acres, did you go by yourself?
No, this was an operation, a detail that had 130 Michigan State Police personnel involved.
Did you use any equipment to aid in the searches?
Yes, depending on the specific parcels, we use ground penetrating radar, metal detection, some aviation, FLIR devices. We did some probing with cadaver searches. We did article searches, and eventually did some excavation in selected areas.
Ground penetrating radar, what's that?
Ground penetrating radar is a device that essentially sends um, signals through the ground and can detect if there's any disturbances beneath the top layer of surface. So for instance, if I were to dig a hole and bury a big rock and then put dirt back on top of it, that would show up as an anomaly using ground penetrating radar, which would be a sign of disturbance beneath the earth.
And I believe you also said FLIR.
That's correct.
What is that?
FLIR is a device that essentially detects the difference between temperatures of two different objects. So for instance, on a cold winter day, if I were to look at your house through a FLIR camera, the ground, the sky, parts of the house would appear very dark, but the windows and doors would look a little bit brighter because there's probably heat coming through those areas. So it's essentially going to highlight a difference in temperature between two objects.
And I believe you said article searches. Can you explain what that means?
Yes, so you heard some testimony from Trooper Jack Taff, who was a canine handler. We deployed cadaver dogs, but also normal search dogs for article searches because we were looking for several items that were missing with Dee Warner.
What items were you looking for?
She was known to be missing with her purse, her phone, her passport, her driver's license, what is referred to as her go bag, which had some makeup and hair products in it.
And then you indicated metal detection.
Correct.
What were you using?
We were using numerous different handheld metal detection devices on those searches.
Okay. Why?
We were still operating under the assumption that she could be welded inside of something and that it could be buried.
And now you're thinking buried. Now you added the additional buried. Why do you think she's buried at this point?
Uh, Aside from the copious amounts of land that Mr. Warner had available to him, he also had numerous pieces of heavy machinery. It would be easy to dig a hole and bury something. Additionally, I had discovered a Google query on his phone. I'm sorry, on his iPad.
On his iPad. Okay. And why did that Google query make you think that it was underground?
The specific thing that was queried through Google on his iPad was, I'm slightly paraphrasing, but what to do with a 1,000-gallon IP tank. So the information I had in front of me from that portable case we discussed earlier is it shows me specifically what was searched. And in this instance, I also had a link to what was eventually clicked on. When I clicked on that link and viewed the video, it was essentially instructions showing you how to bury a tank of that size.
I believe you indicated that you, as part of these searches, you went to areas where you knew the defendant was on the morning of April 25th, 2021.
That's correct.
And how do you know that? How do you know where he was?
Aside from the statements that he provided, we also got information from John Deere through a search warrant. The particular device he was operating that morning through John Deere, they collect geographical information every 30 minutes. So if you were to start this specific sprayer at 7:58 a.m. and turn it off at 9:02 a.m., you're going to have a GPS coordinate at 8, 8:30, and 9.
Based on the records that you reviewed for John Deere, where did you search?
The priority area is based upon that. There was a property just south of the residence, what's been referred to as Leroy Sealers, where he did some spraying for a short time, and also a property in Onstead and a property in Brooklyn.
Describe, is this all farmland that you're searching?
The vast majority of it. Some of these plots of farmland would have a lining of trees on one perimeter, or I can think of one particular area that has like a cell phone tower in the middle, and underneath it are big boulders piled up underneath. But the majority of this land is tillable farmland.
Were there any bodies of water on the land you were searching?
Yes.
Okay, what types of bodies of water?
These pieces of property had little runoff creeks, streams, ponds, bogs. There were a few properties that were maybe not a part of this search, but almost as big as a small lake.
And you indicated that that was in the first week of May 2023.
That's correct.
And I believe Detective Singleton testified about the searches in May of 2023. Is that the same search that he testified to?
That's correct.
All right. And so May 4th, Detective Singleton indicated that you guys went to the Paragon Road property on the north side of the road. Do you recall?
Yes.
Did you ever search the south side of the road on Paragon?
No. Well, when we executed that search warrant to excavate the north side of the road, um, I'm near certain I stepped foot on the south side of the property and looked around, but simply just because we were there and it was the same parcel. But we did not do an extensive search at that time.
And at the time that you go to the Paragon Road property, are you still operating under the assumption that she is underground somewhere?
That's correct.
In January of 2024, did you return to the Munger Road property to do some type of reenactment?
Yes.
For what?
Specifically at that time, I wanted to see what you could do specifically with the front end loader, or also known as a JCB. Those two things are the same. If you were to pull it to that back door. Additionally, we did some experimentation with Dale's commercial sprayer that he was driving that morning.
I'm gonna
That's separate. We did some experimentation with a separate sprayer of a similar nature somewhere else.
okay. I'm gonna show you People's Exhibit 122. Was that part of your January 2024 reenactment?
Yes, so that is the exact JCB that Dale owned on 4/25/21.
And why is it located here?
That is where Dale Warner indicated that he parked it when he returned to the house.
People's 123? What's that?
That is the same position it was in the previous photo, but in this instance, I took the photo from the side to see the bucket. I should note the bucket was capable of getting all the way up to the door, but our operator was a little worried about leaving some damage behind, so we just got it here instead.
Okay. You also indicated you did some kind of reenactment with a John Deere sprayer.
Yes,
Okay, and why did you do that?
for two different reasons. Are you referring to when we used a sprayer that was not Dale Warner specifically, or specifically his sprayer?
You mentioned it.
I located someone totally unrelated to this case that had the exact same commercial sprayer that Mr. Warner did. And I was curious to know if you could travel the distance necessary and spray the ground necessary in return in the time frame that he left initially on that morning. So essentially, he leaves the first time, states he goes to Leroy Sealers, sprays 10 to 12 acres roughly, and comes back. I was curious to know if you could do that exact thing in that time frame.
Okay. What'd you find?
We found that that was possible and within the allotted time necessary to do so.
Okay. At some point in time, you start looking into tanks. Is that accurate?
Yes,
And approximately when is that?
that is June of 24.
Okay. And what specifically were you looking for when you're looking for tanks?
Uh, at that time, I felt as though we had exhausted the type of searching that we could do. Um, so to revisit this welding theory, I decided to try and discover what metal objects were on the farm at the time of 4/25/21 that could have disappeared and somebody would not notice. So in other words, if she was put inside of something metal and welded, what could have been used that people wouldn't have reported, hey, wait a minute, this is missing now, which ultimately led me to the search for anhydrous ammonia tanks.
So at this point, have you given up looking underground and now shifted to above ground?
I wouldn't say that we had given up on that, but we had done so much searching beneath ground that aside from a particular tip coming in or someone discovering a new piece of information, those are the only two things that would move us to do any more digging, if that makes sense.
Okay. As you're searching, when you decide to search for anhydrous tanks, was there anything you had to do to prepare to do that?
Yes,
What did you have to do?
I had a very primitive understanding of what anhydrous ammonia was. The extent of my knowledge on it was simply from my time in the police academy when they show you um, how dangerous it can be if you inhale it, and it can cause death. So, as a road trooper, they want you to be aware of that in case you encounter a crash and that gas is involved. So, knowing that, I had to find a way. If I were to find a tank and it had some of that gas in it, I had to find a way to empty that gas so I could search the inside of it. As these tanks are manufactured to not have an opening to prevent you from seeing in, that was also another challenge. So the first several weeks of this endeavor was to discover how I would empty a tank if it was full of gas and how I would ultimately see inside of it.
Okay. How did you do that research?
The first person I contacted was a sergeant from our motor carrier division. They handle the commercial trucking enforcement part of our department, and they have more hazmat training than a normal trooper does. And after consulting with him, I eventually made contact with our emergency management division, who we have a coordinator by district that helps coordinate if there's a chemical spill. And I was able to get some information from him also.
Did you contact anybody else for additional information?
Yes, once I kind of had a plan for what I would do to empty the tank and look inside of it, um, I also contacted Greg Hardy.
Okay. What was the purpose of that?
Greg Hardy is Dee Warner's older brother. He owns a farm down the road, also has a large farming operation, and he had um, great firsthand knowledge of how that farm operated, the Warner farm. And he ultimately gave me some advice on where or who to contact to locate Dale Warner's tanks.
All right. And who was the person that you contacted to help you locate some of Dale Warner's tanks?
I can't recall the individual's name, but essentially, I came to learn that at some point around that time, he had rented numerous tanks from Dale Warner. So the information provided to me was that this person rented a bunch of tanks and kind of had free reign of a dozen or so of Dale Warner's tanks.
Okay. And based on the information you got from that person, did you do additional search warrants?
Yes, based on talking with that individual, we did a search warrant again at Paragon Road on the south side across from where we excavated, and also conducted a consent search for a property on Carson Highway, just east of the farm across the street.
And I believe you already testified that you found tank 34 in that Paragon property barn. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you took that to the bridge and had it x-rayed?
Yes.
All right. Where'd you take it after that?
From the Ambassador Bridge, I took it to the Michigan State Police Northville Laboratory.
For what?
Um, Ultimately, at the time, I was trying to find a place I could store it, which is a different story. But eventually, they agreed to process the exterior of the tank for fingerprints.
Okay. When you say they, are you talking about the lab personnel?
That's correct.
All right. Where'd you take it after that?
From there, it was escorted to the Michigan State Police Monroe Post for secure storage until we could. At this point, it's 7 or 8 p.m., so we were unable to um, get into the feat of opening the tank. So we stored it overnight there until we could start the next morning.
You arrive the next morning. Who do you bring back with you so that you can open this tank?
Although I had scaled the tank the previous day to confirm the weight and give me an indication if it was empty, and I had x-rayed it, which also showed there was no gas in it, otherwise the x-ray would have been solid. I still wanted to make one more confirmation that the tank didn't have any gas in it. So we contacted um, someone that works in that field locally, an independent contractor who came to the post to aid us in an evaluation.
Okay, and did he observe that tank?
Yes,
What'd he do to determine if it was empty?
he gets out of his truck, walks over and knocks on it, and makes a statement like, "Oh, it's empty," and grabs a wrench and takes off one of the valves on top, and then sticks his face up to it and inhales and says, "It's empty."
Okay. Who else is present?
At that time, I was with him and several other state police personnel.
Did you have the fire department there?
Not just yet. They arrived a little while later.
And why'd you have them there?
I asked the fire department to come for a couple different reasons. For one, I had to consult with a private contractor who ultimately came and helped us cut open the tank. This is someone that works for a private industry. So when you're operating heavy machinery like that, especially on state land, the state police takes on some liability. So I wanted the fire department there for medical reasons. But additionally, um, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but we had battled with media coverage in this case throughout my time investigating it. The media's covering it. It's an important case to them. They want to stay informed. And because of that, I was very concerned that if word got out that we were opening this tank, that the media would show up. So the way this post is situated, I was only able to put the tank in a position where I could conceal two sides of it. So if you could imagine the building being in front of me, I can put the tank up against the building and you won't be able to see it from this direction. You won't be able to see it from behind me, but you could see it from over here. So in part, I asked the fire department to bring a fire truck and park it on this side, just in case the media showed up, nobody could take photos or video from the road.
Okay. Additional reasons that you had the fire department there?
Um, the lab requested that they be present in case there was any toxins inside of the tank.
So after you've determined that the tank is empty, what do you do?
We had contacted a private company to come and help us open it up. So we elected to make some cuts into the end of the tank that was still factory welded, so not the post factory weld that we had discovered. I wanted to preserve that for evidence. So the first thing I asked them to do is to cut me a small hole so I could see into the tank.
So as he's cutting this open, who's all standing right there?
Um, me, the gentleman that's cutting it, I think he had a partner with him, and there may have been a fireman nearby and another state trooper.
Did you did you have any protective gear on, any face masks?
No,
Okay, and did the gentleman that was cutting open that square for you to look in, did he have any face mask or protection?
no.
After he cuts that square open, what do you do?
He made one initial cut, and I think I asked him to make it a little bit larger just after that. But my intent with this opening is I wanted to see inside and take some videos and photos on the off chance that when we're finishing the cigar cut, if you will, to open it completely, I was worried that we would disturb the contents. So I wanted to get some photos or video of the interior before there was a chance for that to happen.
So you stated that he cut the end off, cigar cut. What do you observe when he cuts that end off?
There is something wrapped inside of a blue tarp, and there's also um, a piece of steel, maybe about this big, that I later learned to be a baffle. A baffle is something that would sit vertical inside of the tank that when you're driving would help keep the liquid from sloshing back and forth, essentially.
Okay. Here's People's 108. Is that the item that you're describing?
Yes, the baffle is that square piece in the bottom, and the blue tarp is the other item that I described.
All right. After you make these observations, what do you do?
From there, we started to remove the blue tarp from the tank.
When you say the blue tarp, are you just removing the tarp, or are you removing the whole?
The human remains inside of it and the blue tarp at the same time.
All right. Who else was there when you were removing the body from the tank?
Um, Myself and several troopers, the company that helped us open the tank, the fire department was still present, and several members from the lab. I don't recall anyone else.
Was there a medical examiner investigator that was present?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. After you pull her body out of the tank, what do you do with it?
At that point, the medical examiner is in charge of human remains. So they essentially take legal custody of it. It's the human remains and the blue tarp are placed directly into a body bag. That is then sealed with, it's not a lock, but a seal with a label on it. So we know that it was closed and not open until the actual ME starts their autopsy the next day. And from there, it's escorted to the medical examiner's office in secure storage.
From the time you take the body out of the tank until you place the body bag on it for the ME, did you take any of the tape from the tarp or any other items?
No, we're not allowed to.
Okay. After her body was removed from that tank, did you look inside the tank?
Yes.
What else was in there?
Aside from that baffle, I observed a quarter to a half inch of liquid in the tank. At this point, we had tilted the tank in a negative axis so that liquid wouldn't come out. So it still was inside of the tank at this time.
Did you observe a purse in the tank?
No,
Did you observe a phone in the tank?
no,
Any other personal items?
none whatsoever.
Did you observe shoes,
No,
socks?
no,
Did you attend the autopsy?
yes,
Did you watch Dee Warner being taken out of the body bag?
yes,
Were you present when Dr. Cho opened up the tarp that contained Dee Warner's body?
yes.
What did you observe inside the tarp?
I observed the remains of an adult female wearing pajama-like clothing wrapped in duct tape. There were a few small pieces of jewelry on her person, and she was barefoot.
No socks,
No socks,
no shoes.
no shoes.
Did you observe any of her other missing personal items, such as her purse or her cell phone or her go bag in there?
No, no other items.
After the autopsy, what did you do? Did you secure any items from the medical examiner?
Yes, from the medical examiner's office, we secured all of the personal effects located on Miss Warner, so her clothing and jewelry, as well as the duct tape that was bound around her, the tarp, and the duct tape that was wrapped around that tarp.
Did you send any of those items to the lab?
No,
Why not?
um, there's several parts to that answer. So in general, before you can submit something to the lab, you have to wait until it is dried. So, for instance, um, just as an unrelated example, if you were to have someone that was stabbed with a knife and they were to have blood on that shirt, we can't send that to the lab while it is wet. We have to hang that somewhere to dry before we can send it for examination. In this instance, we took all of those items and hung them to dry in a secure storage area. Lab personnel came to that secured area to review those items with us, and based off of the current state of those items, they essentially would not dry. We were unable to process anything that was inside of the tank around her person because of the condition that it was in.
I'm gonna have, can you hand him People's Exhibit 234? Sir, I've handed you People's Exhibit 234. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what is that?
This is pieces of tape that were located inside of the tank.
Okay.
Duct tape.
All right. And where has that item been located since August of 2024?
We have a secure storage facility near our headquarters in Diamonddale, near Lansing.
Okay. Inside, outside, where was it located?
It's been in a large steel shipping container. Essentially, all these items have been hung to dry, essentially, since then.
And is that duct tape, is that dry today?
It is dry. Um, so in order to present it to court, it has a very strong odor. So I couldn't put it in a paper bag or produce it outside of this plastic bag. In order to prepare it for presentation today, we have attached it to this piece of cardboard just so it would stay upright and sealed it in this plastic. And just from sealing it in the plastic within days ago, you can see some mold and bacteria growth because it's still moist. It's still not dry, unfortunately,
And is that why you cannot send that item to the lab?
because it refuses to dry. Yes, ma'am.
Out of all the items that you were looking for when you became involved in this investigation, what have you recovered thus far to date, as we sit here today?
Can you ask that question again? I'm sorry.
Yes, out of all the items that you were looking for, including Dee Warner, since you became involved in this investigation, what items have you recovered up until today?
Outside of her person,
Correct.
none of the other items.
After you discovered Dee Warner's body, did you reach out to somebody to ask questions about the welds?
Yes,
And who was that?
I made contact with a welding expert by the name of Justin Schmidt.
How did you get Justin's contact information?
Through my time specifically investigating homicides or other more serious crimes, it's not uncommon for us to reach out or try to find a local expert in a specific field. I can think of a death investigation I had that involved very nuanced medical data, and I reached out to a university, and a doctor there agreed to review records for me. In this instance, it was no different. I essentially looked up the local higher ed and came across Justin's name and just reached out to him.
Did you know him prior to contacting him in August 2024?
No, when I called him, neither of us had ever heard of each other.
After speaking to Justin, did you execute any additional search warrants?
Yes.
All right, and where was that at?
After speaking with Justin, we executed a search warrant back at the Munger farm. And I don't recall the specific date, but I'm near certain it was in August.
August of 24?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When you go do this search on Munger Farm, what's the procedure?
Specifically for search warrants.
Correct.
So typically for a search warrant, you're going to secure the area that you're searching. Depending on that type of area and what you're doing would dictate the type of resources that you need for that.
Okay. On this particular day, when you did the search on Munger Farm, tell me how you conducted that.
Um, in this instance, at that time, Dale Warner's adult son, Jaron Warner, was residing at the residence on and off, depending on whether or not he had his younger sister, Lena. And based upon that, I would typically call him between 10 and 15 minutes before we arrived at the residence, which is not common practice. The reason why I would do that is I was very confident that nothing that we were looking for could be disposed of in that time before I arrived. And to be frank, Angelina had been through so much. If we could avoid her seeing a bunch of police back at the house again, I wanted to avoid that as much as we could. So in this instance, I did something similar to that.
What items were you looking for when you went back to the Munger Farm?
When we go back to the farm, we wanted to thoroughly investigate the type of welding equipment that was available, as well as chains, hooks, tarps, duct tape, paint.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm forgetting something, but that's all I can think of now, ma'am. Oh, excuse me. Decals that were on the tank, as well as there was a handwritten note on a tag that was tied to the tank. I wanted to see if we could locate those also.
I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 109. Where is this at?
That is in what we call the spray barn, which is also known as building number 7. So you are standing on the south side of the barn, looking south, So there's a big bay door. If you're facing the bay door and looking to your right, that's where those shelving units are located. And if
People,
I may, ma'am, we also seized the trash can lid that I just saw in the photo.
okay, thank you. People's Exhibit 110,
That is one of the cabinets that was previously pictured. And if you look in the door pocket down to the left, there's a dark blue container. Inside of that is a roll of black duct tape.
can you hand them People's Exhibit 111?
Thank you.
Sorry.
May I open this, ma'am?
Yes, please. Sorry about that. I didn't know I still had the scissors.
Roll of black duct tape.
All right. And did you observe, where did you find that particular roll?
That was the one that was just pictured.
Okay. Right here in People's 110?
That's correct.
Okay.
We were searching for and seize this because typically our trace elements portion of the lab, if I were to collect duct tape from the scene of a crime and I were to bring them a roll of duct tape, they can do what's called tear matching and see if that piece was the last piece torn off of the roll. Unfortunately, in this instance, as we discussed, the lab was unable to process those items.
Okay. Did you seize additional rolls of duct tape, black duct tape on the farm?
Yes,
Approximately how many rolls?
I can think of 2.
And what color were they?
Those were also black.
I'm going to take you into the new shop. Can you hand him Exhibit 233, and do you still have the scissors?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
What is that item?
This is an ammonia decal that is similar to the one that we discovered on the tank when we discovered it.
Where did you get that item from?
There was a storage desk, kind of looked like a drafting table with wide, narrow shelves. And inside of those drawers, not shelves, I'm sorry, inside of those drawers were a series of stickers just like this inside of the new shop, which is also known as building number 5.
I'm showing you what's been marked as People's 116. Is that the location that you found those?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna have you look at People's 117. What is that?
That is one of the drawers that's open with several of those stickers inside of it.
Can you hand him Exhibit 119, please?
Guess you like
Yeah.
to open this one, ma'am?
Yes, please. Can you identify what that item is for me?
This is a WARAG placard that is similar to one that was discovered on the tank, on tank 34.
Thank you. I'm gonna have you look up at the screen at item People's Exhibit 120. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
What is that?
that was one of the drawers that just had miscellaneous number stickers that were similar to the numbers that we found on the tank.
Similarly, People's Exhibit 121, is that same thing?
Correct.
Also in the old shop, People's Exhibit 159. What is that item?
That is the welder that was previously described and testified to.
And what location was that one?
That is what we call the new shop, which is also in building number 5.
Okay. I'm going to show you People's 293. Again, what are those?
Those are also additional welders on the property.
Okay. What location?
I believe that's also the new shop, building number 5.
All right. I'm going to show you People's 115. What is that?
That is inside of the old shop. So building number 1, kind of right where the number 1 is on this map, is that small narrow corridor that leads to a small office.
And within that office, I'm going to have Craig Lee hand you People's Exhibit 304. Can you describe to me what you found in there? After you open it, sir.
Inside of that office, we located numerous of these manila tags, which match the type of tag that was on the tank with the handwritten note on it.
On tank 34.
That's correct.
Okay. And People's Exhibit 114. What is that?
We located several blue tarps, and that is in the dry barn, which is building number 2.
Do you recall approximately how many tarps you located on the property?
I think there were at least 2 in that building and a third one that was green in the wet barn.
What are you just calling the wet barn? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the wet barn is number 7.
Okay. Now, during Detective Singleton's testimony, he discussed going to the property room and taking some paint samples. Where did those paint cans come from on the property?
I seized those paint cans from the metal shelving racks in the back of building number 1. Pretty much right where my finger is.
And how many cans did you seize?
I seized 3 cans, and there was also like a food container with a lid of some paint poured in it.
How many times do you think you had been on the Munger property previous to executing this search warrant in August of 24?
How many times in total?
Correct.
Between 6 and 10, maybe, roughly.
Had you been in the old shop previous to August 24?
Yes,
All right. Had you observed paint cans in there previously?
yes.
While you were executing the search warrant, did you look for any safes on the property?
Yes.
Specifically where?
I looked in the building number 7 and building number 5.
Okay. I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 89. Is this the safe you were searching for?
Yes.
Okay. And you said also building number 5. Why did you look in building number 5?
So this photo was taken by someone before I was involved in the case in the initial search the week of 4/25/21. Later, when I get involved in the case, that same safe with that same blanket, I personally observe it in building number 5.
People's Exhibit 88. Is that the
Yeah.
photograph? Okay. Do you recall when that was that you observed it in that separate building?
May of 22, I think. I'm not certain.
Okay. Approximately how tall was the safe?
I can't recall in inches, but it's up to my chest.
Okay. Approximately how wide is it?
It's about 5 feet wide,
How deep is it?
28 inches.
Okay. You indicated it stood approximately up to your chest. How tall are you?
I'm 6'7".
What are you looking for this safe for? What's the purpose?
The reason why I was looking for that safe when we returned for that search warrant is there were not many, if any, other objects inside of building number 7 the week of 4/25/21 that you could hide a body in, with the exception of this safe. So I was in search of the safe to see for myself how easily you could remove the shelves that were inside of it and how likely or possible it would be to fit a person inside of it also.
Did you find a safe that was similar to the one that you observed?
Yes,
What brand was it, if you recall?
it's a Canon safe.
Okay. And what did you do when you found the safe?
Canon Safe manufactures 2 safes that are approximately that size, the one that was on the Munger farm at the time. And between those 2, I found the smaller of the 2. And upon locating it, I experimented with removing the shelves, which I did so in 30 seconds. They come out relatively easily. And I also got into the safe to see how much room there was.
You got inside the safe in the
Yes,
store?
ma'am.
Okay. Who took your photograph?
The store manager didn't want to be involved, so I put it on a timer and put it on a shelf to take my own photo.
All right. I'm going to show you people's exhibit 254. What is this?
That's me laying inside of the safe.
The safe that you've just described?
Yes, ma'am.
255.
The same.
People's 256.
The same.
Just a different position?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 257
That is the front of that safe.
and people's 258.
That is the safe when I initially opened it with the 2 shelves. And those very similar shelves were in the safe that was photographed at the Munger farm. Those are the ones that came out within 30 seconds or so.
Had you previously watched some body camera footage um, regarding the safes on the property and the FBI, how they got access to those safes on October 11th, 2021?
Yes.
Give me 1 second.
And if we might need those, saying, okay. Another thing is, we haven't done this yet, but I know, I think it's pretty safe for bigger ones. Either I'll escort you to them, you open them, and that's it. Yeah. Plan B, so our tools, our key, wants to use our key, so, but it's.
And at that time, he indicated to, was that Detective Greca on the body worn camera?
Kevin Greca. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that he would open those safes.
Yes.
For the record, Your Honor, that was People's Exhibit 305 that I played for Detective Dreer. Again, with you being inside that safe, can you tell me how tall you are
6'7",
and your weight?
about 230 pounds.
Did you indicated that when you first took the tank, you took it to the Northville lab to be processed for prints. Did you hear anything back from the lab regarding those prints?
To be clear, we had an X-ray that went to the lab to make sure I understand you.
Correct. So after, I apologize. So when you have the lab tech come and take prints off tank 34, correct?
Correct.
All right. And as a result of her analysis, you get a report back, correct?
Yes.
And did you have somebody take Dale Warner's fingerprints?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And who was that?
That was a Trooper Mead, who's an evidence technician for the Monroe Post.
Okay. And do you know what he did with those prints after
Uh,
he took them?
Yes, he provided them to me, and I delivered them to the lab for comparison.
Did you observe any additional surveillance footage after finding the body of Dee Warner?
Yes.
How much?
Not as much as my partner, but a good amount.
Okay. We watched a lot of footage with Detective Singleton earlier in the week, and do you recall seeing Dale on the JCB after the 6:39 time frame of the tank appearing in the background?
Is he on the JCB after 6:39?
Do you recall seeing him on the JCB after 6:39
Um,
with Ivan?
as far as I recall, Ivan uses it for trash, if I recall correctly.
Okay. All right. I'm going to show you the old shop front it's 4:25:21 at 6:39 p.m. And where's this located?
This is in building number 1 of the old shop.
Okay. And I paused it because the next time it activated, it's 6:46 on the screen. All right. All right. And did you recognize who that was getting off the JCB?
Dale Warner?
And do you know who that was in the old shop?
Ivan Boyd.
Did you look at any additional drone images or footage from that 427 search?
Yes.
I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 168. Was there anything during the course of your investigation that stood out to you about this photograph?
Yes.
Right, and what was it?
There are, it's difficult to describe from this photo, but there are tracks through the grass leading around to the back of the burn pit. So if you were to start in the burn pit where the white tank is and go to the right around the other debris and back down towards the right-hand side of the screen, those tracks continue through the grass. And they head toward the direction of building number 7. There are not tracks that lead directly to that by no means, but you can see tracks around the grass heading towards that direction. And they lead essentially up to where the area of the tank is.
So essentially, would it be on the north side of that tank?
That's correct.
And
So
then-
there's something blue south of the tank, just to orientate. I'm sorry. Yeah, so on the top of the top of the tank side, you can see the tracks leading up to it.
Okay. Detective Singleton testified about during the course of the investigation, he had information on life insurance policies. Were you the person that did the search warrant for those?
I'm near certain, yes, ma'am.
All right. And did you find information for April of 2021?
Yes.
How many policies did you find?
There's 2 life insurance policies for Dee Warner.
And who was the beneficiary in April of 2021?
Dale Warner.
Throughout the course of the investigation, did you learn any phone numbers for witnesses, certain witnesses?
Yes.
Did you learn Stephanie Vogel's phone number?
Yes.
Did you look through the defendant's call records to determine what time Stephanie Vogel called the defendant?
Yeah, she called him at 10:31 a.m. on 4/25/21.
Why did you want to know that? I'm sorry.
He indicated very consistently that the first time he knows that Dee Warner is missing is when Stephanie calls him, and that occurs at 10:31 a.m.
Has he ever indicated anything different about how he found out that Dee Warner was missing?
No, he's been very consistent in that fact.
Throughout the course of the investigation, have you had communications with family members or given updates to anybody?
Yes.
Who?
My primary points of contact, because Dee has several adult children and we took over the case, um, they agreed that we would provide updates to one of them and they would kind of spread the information. So I primarily have contact with her adult son, TJ Bach. I also have um, on and off contact with Greg Hardy. And my primary point of contact for Mr. Warner was his adult son, Jaron.
Throughout the course of the investigation, did the defendant ever contact you for updates on his missing wife or the case?
The only time Dale Warner ever called me was seeking his iPad and iPhone back.
Had you ever tried to contact him?
Yes.
Did you at any point in time tell him you were taking over the investigation?
I called him when it was publicly announced, and I'm near certain I didn't speak to him, but I left a voicemail.
You indicated that you also talked to Greg Hardy about certain things during the investigation updates. Is that accurate?
Yes.
How did you come to know Greg Hardy?
I came to know Greg Hardy through the investigation as Dee's older brother.
And did Greg Hardy give you tips throughout the course of the investigation?
Yes.
Like what?
Greg Hardy gave me tips about certain pieces of land that he thought merited investigation, primarily areas that he thought we should excavate and do digs at. He gave me a tip about where Dee's wedding ring currently was. It has never been located since the week of 4/25. He would call me with kind of the local gossip, more gossipy tips that really sometimes didn't really have any relevance towards evidence.
Did you follow up on every one of Greg Hardy's what he thought could potentially happen to his sister?
No, no. Typically, his tips would be a gut feeling or something he heard from someone, or in some cases, he would hear a piece of information and perhaps was interpreting it a certain way that wasn't always the most accurate.
Did you ever search Greg Hardy's property with his consent?
Yes, several times.
And did Greg Hardy tell you where to search for the tank or what tank to search for or any information about the tank?
No, he had a basic understanding of what was typical for Dale Warner's tanks, and a contact for someone that had rented them.
Did he give you the contact information for the person who's going to cut open the tank?
He had uh, So we discovered the tank on a Friday, and I meet with the family to inform them that we're going. I was concerned that somehow there would be a media leak, and I didn't want them to learn that way. So I made contact with them in person, informed them of my intention to have the tank open the following day and make some confirmations. And he offered a metal fabricator that he knew personally to come and open the tank. But
Okay.
no, that is not who did that for us.
All right, thank you. While Kevin Greco was still part of the task force, or it was still essentially his case, did you have communications with him?
With Kevin Greca?
Correct.
Yes.
Did you communicate with him after the case was over?
I think I came across him one time organically through a law enforcement purpose, and then I provided him with a subpoena for the prelim, and that was the extent of our communication.
Did he ever contact you after he retired in August of 2024 to give you any additional information about this case?
I never saw or heard from him prior to coming to court.
After the x-ray of tank 34, so you go, you find this tank, you seize it, and you take it to the bridge to have it x-rayed. Did you communicate with anybody in the Warner family?
Yes,
And who was that and why?
I communicated with Dale Warner's adult son, Jaron. Um, when you execute a search warrant, there's something that's called a return and tab. So, for instance, if I were to come and search your residence with a search warrant, at the end of the search warrant, I'll give you a copy of the warrant, and I would also give you a list of all the items that I'm seizing, kind of like a receipt. It's called the return and tab or the tab. Uh, Through this investigation, I primarily served the return and tabs to Dale's adult son, Jaron. So in this instance, I x-rayed the tank. I have a pretty good indication of what's inside of it, and I called Jaron to inform him that I had executed a search warrant on Paragon Road. I had found an anhydrous tank with some anomalies, and that my intention was to x-ray it and cut it open if necessary to reveal the contents.
And at that time, you had already x-rayed the tank, though?
That's correct.
Why did you tell him that?
Through this investigation, well, investigations in general, information is power. And so when you have control of information, sometimes it benefits you to release it and sometimes it doesn't, like when we discussed the welding theory early on. In this instance, it was a benefit to me potentially to tell Jaron I had discovered specifically tank 34 and that I was going to x-ray it and cut it open so that I can later listen to communications between him and Dale Warner to see what that conversation would be like.
And how would you be able to listen to communications between Jaron and Dale Warner?
At that time, Dale Warner was at the Lenawee County Jail as an inmate.
Okay. So explain that. Just he's an inmate at the Lenawee County Jail. How are you going to listen to that conversation?
Jail calls, as we would commonly refer to them as, calls you're making to and from the jail as someone that's incarcerated, those are recorded and monitored. The inmates are explained that, there's notices stating that, and they're informed of that every time they make or receive a phone call.
So every single time a phone call is made or received, they'll get that notification.
Yes,
And did you become aware of a phone call in this case?
yes.
All right. And who were the participants in that call?
We discover the tank on Friday. I make that phone call to Jaron on Friday, and Jaron Warner and Dale Warner have a phone communication the next day on that Saturday.
So August 17th, 24.
Correct.
Your Honor, people, at this time, I'm going to play People's Exhibit 227.
For liquid, press 1. Sign up for a select call.
I know this initial part is pretty loud, but then once it gets into the phone call, the voice is softened. So I don't know if the court, if you want to handle the volume.
Call, press 0. For a debit, please enter your PIN number now. At the beep for pizza free. With global Shelly, my voice is my password. Please enter the area code and phone number you are calling now. Please hold. Please wait while your call is being connected. Please hold. Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Lenawee County Jail. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, your current balance is $40.71. This call is from a corrections facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using TCL. Hey, Dad, how you going? Oh, just gotta leave lunch, so. Couldn't call them on the, to talk to you separately about me or not. But yeah, today. They're texting said that they had a search warrant to search for the Telegram property, and then, at the farm, you have the outbuildings things again. Then, he's like, yes. So, long story short, then it took, from the Telegram property, and they're taking it to get x-ray. They can't get results of the x-ray, they're gonna cut it open. And it's not outside the. Yep. And I think number 34 is what they're still for. Yeah, I don't know what goes. Yeah. Where do you get that? Now they're. Having built. They told me yesterday they're keeping it about either every time 2% because they're coming out. So I think it was. You know, 40 minutes. Yesterday. Yeah. I don't think. You can search for it. There's just they keep something, but then somebody you can go up and find me. Email to you though. I don't have anything for anything, I guess, something that makes bullshit up. Mhm. Marriage first of all. Sounds like work. You've got your pocket money dollars turned out, you get three full spies, go around here. You you know, because 50 levels of stuff, it's gonna find very old as hard. You don't do that yourself, like, you want to do stuff. All that stuff. And then help people. Yeah. Ignorant, Monday to get the. Work from home. Yeah. Or, that's nothing, no, that's the English. How old now, not too bad. You tried to be what last time? Yeah, I got no. Yeah, I got no. The other night, I was like, man, looking at the late last night. Good. I don't, if there's. Books in the series, and I like that might be like, I think it's 24, that's not right. Yeah, it might be like 17, 18 or something, yeah. That's it, number one. It seems like there's only the one thing that you other books. So what you yeah, yeah, a lot. It's good, it doesn't seem like they run out of materials, kind of drive books or something, you know? Yeah, the only thing is better and better. Yeah, so it was just, I don't know, that you just want to hear, but. Because they're playing, so you see, I mean. Yeah, great. You ended up the Sean, supposed to have a meeting, Tuesday with Sean, me and you. And then, I think Wednesday, they're gonna do a mediation, I think all day, sure. That's, what they said, so. Yeah. Yeah. You got moving in the right direction. It's good now. Yeah, it'd be better not to worry about all those low rate yet, to be done, but focus on that lower bottom. Get that take care of. Have to get about the ones all done now.
We're approximately 8 minutes and 40 seconds into that phone call. Is there anything additional that's discussed on there, to the best of your knowledge about that tank?
No.
You want the rest of that audio played?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. I'll probably fix what sounds good, but whatever. Expert. Thank you. They, I don't know, they said there's a fun jam about house, but advantage before, for the house, or not the house, but for the around building, around the house, and you know, the house. Jim to barely have like 5 minutes, they went out back by the third pile, and my bottles, said they were like 5 minutes, and just pay the fine. You know, but so we up already, yeah, FPL was there, but you know, I guess it's better. You can fancy, do the same thing over and over, you can get results. Yeah, yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, it's like what, like. Right. Yeah. When you're at the dog. Yeah, I favorite them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, on your cooking, so that's. Oh, okay. You talk to Tom, but. The job strong run. Yeah. Yeah, last week. There's been. Good deviation for the. Can't say that garden shit. Going phone to $4 or $5. Right. Stuff with the overtimes. I don't know, maybe I have it. The other one's pretty good. Looking for more neighborhood and everything, yeah. Good thing, Ronnie, calling for it. We'll stop by over there, right, talk to him a little bit. He said that Uncle Billy, a little later down in. I need to track or something, that's what they. Down on MIS. Can they raise or something, they got the taxes, some of the C corp people get or something. But how you get the handy done, you're always away. You're sure. I stay up to that. Better get the movie right now. I can go there earlier, but not much. Something more. Maybe just making. Fraction mile away. Yeah. We look at it, I'm sure a year for the market. Actually, that's pretty still. Looking for a beer for a locker. Everyone spends a point that you still or 7 4 old. Yeah, like, what we saying in it? Okay, good job, it will go. The job was not working off. Yeah, I'll work it off. Okay, sure. That needs to be time to watch it. No call it. But, yeah, they don't get happy for our stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you remember that like the being ready. Not the better right now. One on there. Coming later, gets this kind of game on the series, something like that. Why? You know, I think it was.
Have 1 minute remaining.
Yeah, I did see. And they one but then home bus. But it's around. Yeah, the two. That right now I wouldn't see. Yeah, but or something else, or something or something. There's no fear of sometimes something that wanted to be right. Yeah, just 1 minute. Okay, I will talk to you later next turn. Yeah, really. Sounds good like that.
Thank you for using email.
I apologize, Detective. I was a little bit off the mark with the tank there. I have no further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
You want to make me approach?
You may.
Just about timing. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we did not have a break to use the restroom this morning, so what we're gonna do is just kind of break early now because we have a natural break in the testimony. If we took a 10 or 15-minute break now, we have just a little bit of the beginning of the cross-examination, and so it makes more sense just to wait until after lunch. So we're gonna break now. I'll see you be back at 1:30 p.m. Go ahead. Okay, thank you. You can be seated. I do have several questions from the jurors. I don't know if you want to actually have a chance to take a moment, if you want, maybe we can meet in chambers and look those over.
Would you like us to meet now?
Uh,
Or before, like before the second session, the afternoon session?
Why don't you take 5 or 10 minutes and then congregate back here and then we'll meet then.
Great, that's what I was hoping you were going to say. I think Ms. Weiser and Mr. McCready and I are all of like mind on that one. Okay, great, thank you, Your Honor.
We'll be in recess then.
Thank you.
Thank you.